Hello, Utah Dota group.
Oh, hi, Utah Dota. Yeah, I'm here with your friend Kevin. I wish you guys were all here.
Hello. What's up, Demon here?
Hi, Utah.
Hello, Utah Dota.
Yes.
I don't even know where Utah is.
So next one, we look at some item changes here. Skull Basher, bash
Skull
damage
Basher
reduced
and the
from
Abyssal
120 to
Blade
85.
change. Yeah.
Okay, so let's cover both of these items at once since they're related to each other. So bash damage reduced by 35. Recipe cost reduced by 250 gold. The new Abyssal Blade actually now requires Basher, Vanguard, and a 1550 recipe. I mean, those are stats here. We're looking at it now provide, instead of doing 10 strength and 70 damage and costing 6,750 gold, it now costs 6,400 gold and it does 10 strength, 10 damage, but now it gives 250 health and 15 HP regeneration. So it does less damage, but makes you more buffer.
This is a huge nerf to anyone who wanted to buy Abyssal Blade and Basher before, and a huge buff to people who want to buy Vanguard, which is like nobody.
This is like the optimal item for like a bristleback, right? Sometimes he goes
yes,
fast.
that would be the one hero.
What about Axe? What about Axe though? Because Axe builds a Vanguard, or was it? Is it usually better for Axe to build Vanguard to Crimson Guard?
He could do it. That definitely could be an option for him now too. Yeah.
So would you rather go Vanguard Abyssal or Vanguard Crimson Guard?
There's the question.
That's the question you're gonna have to ask based on like what you're against, right? This item I think now is less about like I'm a carry, I'm gonna hop in and do 1,000,000 damage. It's like I'm the tanky guy, I'm gonna hop in, I'm gonna stun a guy, and then to like Axe is gonna taunt or Bristleback's gonna just run around and spray his shit, and like it's just more about being tanky and being able to like hold a guy down. And I think keep reducing the damage every time.
Right.
Like, every time this item's brought up, it's nerfed. In that
and I think that's because they want to keep carries from having this guaranteed decent crowd control, big stun and through BKB in their builds, because that can be really frustrating to play against. If you get blinked in on an Abyssal, then you just die to the carry.
It promotes a little more team play, I think. Like it makes it so that like the carry isn't the end all be all once he's 6 slotted. Like he still might have some weaknesses. Not every carry is going to have these stuns. And then once you had that, like you could just hop in yourself, stun a guy, kill him yourself, and your team like you don't need them anymore. So I think this is kind of saying, I want my tanky initiator to be a little more tanky, be able to hold down a guy so that we can all hop in and do our thing.
Right.
I feel like the damage block maybe should have been increased a little bit, because I think it kept the same damage block amount as the Vanguard, right?
Yeah,
unless I'm missing it.
It's still
but I mean,
by the time item first.
By the time you're buying an Abyssal Blade, the 40 and 20 damage is nothing.
Well, now it's going to be much cheaper though to buy this Abyssal Blade, because Vanguard. Well, I guess it's the same cost, 6,400 total. But the thing is, you might want to rush it. In which case, right after getting the Vanguard, you might want to go straight Basher. In which case, you'll probably get it early enough that it's not a big deal. Although the 1,550 recipe, that I almost think that they need to reduce the cost of the recipe to make this better.
I just think it's going to be a lot more situational. Like every game, you'd see the 6-slotted carry for most part go for this item. But...
Okay. So here's what I just saw. That I didn't notice before is the cooldown was reduced from 60 seconds to 35. So that's a huge change. This is like sheepstick now for your tanky initiator. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just you're going to be stunning for days and tankier. So I mean, it's still a good item. It's for a different type of hero now.
Different type of hero now. Yep.
Okay. So overall, I mean, it's an interesting new item, but like you guys said, it promotes team fighting a lot more.
And it just gives it takes away an option from a carry to lock down a hero by themselves, and then it gives that option to heroes that maybe didn't necessarily have that as much before.
So next thing we look at here, we have Aether Lens. Spell amplification reduced from 8% to 5%. It's nerfed by 3%.
But it's because of the changes for everybody else. Like now you're going to kind of scale a little more, but
because you got the intelligence scaling,
the
intelligence scaling, which kind of makes up for that. Because every 16 intelligence will kind of cover that. But I mean, 3% difference. That means for every 100 damage, you change by 3 damage.
Yeah, you lose 3 damage. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. Animal Courier respawn time reduced from 140 seconds to 120 seconds. I think this is kind
early
of
game. It's just for the early game when your courier gets murdered.
By the bounty hunter.
Yeah, exactly.
Want to buy a second one? Yeah.
That's nice. Okay.
Oh, the respawn time.
It's a respawn.
Oh,
yeah,
that's nice.
Just like when it dies.
Like flying courier is still okay. Yeah, so it's just mostly to prevent that bounty hunter like
you just lose mid if your courier gets murdered, right? You just lose because then they're bottle crowing or whatever, and so this
is. I feel like so far a lot of these patches are to actually slow the game down. Is what it feels like.
Well, it's more just to prevent early. It's not necessarily to slow the game down. I think it's more to prevent snowball.
Games. Okay.
More to prevent snowball, and then you still kind of want games that are pretty fast-paced, but you want them to be more even and less one-sided early on.
Yeah, this just makes it so like if your courier dies, you're not auto losing like completely and utterly because you can't bottle crow or get what you need, right? Like this is so that you're 2 minutes behind now as far as courier usage is concerned, but you're not going to be completely dead and out, which can happen in any game, pub or pro.
Okay. So next thing here, armlet is it Mordigian or Mordigian? I would say Mordigian. I feel like I don't know.
I just call it armlet. Yeah.
I'm just gonna say armlet.
I think it's Mordigian. Mordigian.
You know what? English is a second language for me, so
it's my first.
Fuck the shit.
I don't even know what it's called. So there you go.
But here, the big thing here, Unholy Strength now grants 5 armor. I think this is huge, like for guys like Huskar, because Huskar, he normally builds his item for his attack speed, also Wraith King, but to have that additional 5 armor when you trigger it, you're going to have more health, but that 5 armor also increases your overall effective HP, right?
Yeah,
right.
I mean, it's good, but this item only gets picked off. Yeah, it's a buff, of course. It's just, the item isn't picked up except for like on, like 5 different heroes, really, and so I think they're trying to say, it's a good item, pick it more on other heroes too. It's fun, it's cool.
And I feel like a lot of people still need to learn how to use it properly. I'm going to admit, I have no idea how to use this correctly. It's a very interesting item, but I think it's an interesting buff.
Yeah.
Blade Mail now returns damage before any kind of reduction.
Really good.
And returns at the same time as it was received. No longer ignores spell immune enemies.
Blade Mail got a massive buff.
Okay, explain this to me because I don't understand how that works.
So it used to be that Blade Mail return damage was considered magical, right? So any damage that the Blade Mail did back to you was considered magical. So if you're a hero that does physical damage, or if you're basically any hero, you buy BKB, you no longer care about Blade Mail. Now if you're a hero that does physical damage and you attack a Blade Mail person, it's going to do physical damage right back to you.
Yep.
So you cannot, or if you're Lena and you ulti you have an Ags and you ulti a Blade Mail guy, it's going to do pure damage right back to you. So now you can't just buy a BKB and ignore Blade Mails if you're not doing magic damage.
Yeah.
You have to.
But if you are doing magic damage and you have BKB,
then it won't.
Then you're still safe there.
It doesn't hit you. Yeah.
Okay.
But the biggest thing here, I think, well, not the biggest, but an interesting thing that I have seen is a lot of axes will go for Blade Mail, and they'll do this thing where they jump in, they taunt. That gives them 40 armor, right? And then they would pop their Blade Mail then. So they weren't doing like any damage back really.
Yep.
And so now they're gonna hop in, pop their Blade Mail, do this. They're going to get 40 armor, but then they're going to reflect the full damage back.
Yep, full damage back
Ooh.
from physical.
Yeah, from the physical, of course.
So
it's
damn,
just,
so
like,
it's a big buff against physical heroes, especially ones that want to get BKBs.
Yeah,
that's nasty.
That Axe can now pop his Blade Mail and be assured that it's going to do something at least, instead of just seeing a bunch of BKBs popped and going, all right, this is a useless item now.
So this is just kind of a new question here, but I feel like there are times I'm playing pub games where people are saying, well, if someone's doing a lot of physical attacks, go for Ghost Scepter just to be immune. But I mean, would this ever be viable enough for a support to get a Blade Mail if he's doing against a right click hero? Would it ever? Just throwing it out there. I mean, it sounds kind of a dumb.
It's a little more expensive than a Ghost Scepter, and the thing is, you're still taking the damage. You're just returning it to them too. So it's like, that's why it's better, that's why heroes like Axe, like Wraith King, like Bristleback get it, is because they're okay with being hit a bunch, and they get more return damage the more they're hit, and they're going to live through a bunch of hits. If you're a support hero, you're generally not going to live very long, so while it might be nice, I mean, I've seen it picked up to counter Tinkers before if you're a support hero.
Just everybody Blade Mail and then stand in the march.
The march.
Yeah, and they just die.
For single target heroes, I would say it's probably not that worth it if you're a support hero.
It's still a good item, though. It gives you armor, it gives you mana, it gives you things, right? Like,
it could be at times, yeah.
It's more curiosity. I mean, I don't think personally, I think it's a good idea for support, but just want to throw it out there because you never know, right?
It just matters on what you're against, really.
Yeah.
So, Bloodstone. This is a nice one. Initial charges increase from 8 to 12.
It just doesn't get picked up that much anymore, and like the heroes that it was picked up on a lot, like just fell out of the meta, like the Storm Spirits,
Right.
and like
And I'm glad this is the change that they buffed the initial charges. I think that's a fantastic change. You know, not reverting any of the nerfs to it in the past, because it just means that it gives those heroes a little more tools to use, a little more mana.
It's an extra 4 mana regeneration.
Yeah.
Basically, is what it is, which is. I mean, I think it needed it. I mean, because it
did.
Bloodstone
and also
did
the
fill.
respawn timer, like that is a cool little thing it adds on to. It's just
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
it's just saying like this item's still good, but now it's a little better, so just buy this.
So it reduces your respawn time by 12 seconds.
All right. I don't know how many.
Each second
charges 3.
each second adds on 3 seconds. Each charge is 3 seconds. So that's
So that's a nice little change. Your first death, if you die right away after getting it, it's not as bad.
that's punishing. Yeah.
You come back a little quicker. 'Cause that's the problem with Bloodstone, right? Because the way it works with the charges, like if you get a Bloodstone and you start dying, it's really not that great.
And I mean that still is going to happen now. So like regardless of like how it was before, like if you're a bad player, you buy a Bloodstone and you die a bunch, you're still like it's still just as.
But
good
if
as it
you're
was
even if
before.
you're a good player and you just that right after you get it, something bad just goes horribly wrong, it's not quite as bad as it was before.
Right.
Right. Okay. Butterfly. Flutter cooldown reduced from 35 to 25. Just more or less, I think, just increases your ability to move around the map a little faster.
Just a little mobility buff for the item. Yeah.
Okay. Crimson Guard. Cooldown reduced from 60 to 50. HP regeneration increased by 2. But that's because of the Vanguard change.
The Ring of Health change, man.
Yeah,
Right,
because
because
of
of
that, so streamlining that.
Cooldown reduced from 60 to 50. I mean, that's definitely a buff.
Just a small buff for another item that's pretty good, but people don't pick up that much. So it's just saying, hey, here's this item that's not bad. We're gonna make it a little bit better. Pick it up.
Well, you guys brought up a good point, like, because now that Vanguard can be built into Abyssal Blade, I mean, you can prioritize between choosing to build Crimson Guard or a Abyssal Blade, which, I mean, at late game, it might be good to stun the enemy carry, right?
Yeah.
So, Desolator, we talked about this. Blightstone replaced the 300 recipe. I really like that. If you can replace the recipe with an item, it's actually useful. I think that's always good.
Yeah, it's always welcome.
Good. Yep.
Diffusal Blade, Purge, cooldown increased from 0 to 2. Mana Burn reduced, so that kind of got nerfed. And then Mana Burn increased, though, for melee heroes.
It got reduced on the illusions and
Yeah.
increased on the heroes.
Okay.
So this is a Spectre nerf, kind of. But yeah, just the Purge, the fact that you could spam the Purge could be really annoying at times. So it's kind of.
I mean, it's still gonna play the same because like the Purge is that long, right?
It's
like,
that long
every 2
anyway.
seconds.
Yeah.
So,
But now you can't purge like 2 different people.
Yeah, next to each other and then
back
hold
to
them
back.
there at the same time. Yeah, that was kind of
okay.
stupid.
But then when you do that, the charges run down fairly quickly.
Right,
anyways, too.
right.
Yeah,
but
but
if
you're
you-
still getting
if
those
you-
kills.
If you get 2 or 3 extra kills because of that, you're totally fine.
Just because of like the 2-second cooldown was non-existent before, so now you're just holding people down all around you, and
So this is what you get. It's nice balance.
Yeah.
it just really seems more like it was at Scepter, because Scepter would haunt in, and she's tanky in the late game. Maybe still has some charges left. She'd slow everybody, and then just run one person down, and then go to the next guy because he's still kind of slowed. And then,
Down.
yeah,
So Spectre definitely got a little nerf from this item here.
Haunt, purge, haunt, purge, haunt, purge, and then you got 3 heroes dead.
Okay.
And then also nerfs the illusion burn, which is nice, so that you can't just pop mantle illusions and just destroy somebody's mana and HP. Although your own hero, I like that's a big increase for the heroes.
15 extra mana. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, 15 extra mana burn, which is also like 6 extra damage or something, 7
Yeah.
extra damage.
It's pretty good.
pretty good.
Dragonlance here requires Ogre Club and 2 bands of Elven Skin instead of Ogre Club and Quarterstaff. So
I like that change.
I'm kind of curious because agility adds attack speed, right?
Attack
Yep.
speed and damage for agility
And armor.
to heroes and armor.
But at 15 agility, I mean, how much attack speed does it equate to? I mean, does it
15.
really? Is
so I
it?
think it's 1 attack speed, 1 agility equals 1 attack speed.
Does it? So that
Sure.
would basically mean that this is actually more of a buff.
Yeah, this is just
Yeah.
definitely like this is like hard stats is way better than just like attack speed, right?
Yep.
Like,
Oh yeah.
It's definitely a buff to this item.
And now you get an extra 5 damage if you're a strength ranged hero, which there are like 2, and then you get an extra 5 damage if you're an agi hero too. So
This is so.
and
it's,
you get armor. You get a bunch of armor. You get 2, 3 extra armor from this. Like that's nice.
That's true. And I guess it's actually makes it a little bit easier to build. I think, right? Because a quarterstaff is like 900 gold. That's a roughly 2.
But it's the same. It's the same price. I think 2-band of Elven Skin is 900
The
gold.
cost is
It's
it actually
25
went up by
gold
25
difference.
gold, but that's
But I
next,
think it's because
whatever.
quarterstaff used to be
875.
875, not 900 anymore.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
But I mean, I kind of like it because you at
It's
least
still
you
a
can
buff, 25
buy
gold,
the
whatever.
Elven Skin faster, a little bit easier because it's kind of hard to. I mean, if you're
Easier build up.
easier to build up for sure.
And it gives you 5 more strength too. That's huge.
Yeah.
Oh, I
it's
didn't
good.
notice that.
Extra HP.
That's interesting.
That's 100 extra HP. That's a
Yeah,
big deal.
just a buff all around for this item, which is already, in my opinion, very good.
Oh,
you-
they're already very good. Yeah.
Throw that into some of the newer items.
And now
yeah,
you get
it's
the
awesome.
Force Staff. You combine it with you get the Hurricane.
You know, that actually it's kind of nice because previously the Dragon Lance, I mean, it was always a decent item to pick up early, but everybody would always end up disassembling it.
Yeah, and you build it into something else.
Like BKB or like Eagle or like
Orchid.
Butterfly Heroes, yeah. Just that kind of stuff.
So
Now it's like a good
now,
item.
is it still disassemble? Can you still disassemble it though?
I don't know, but I think if you're gonna build a Dragonlance now, you're gonna end up wanting to build a Hurricane Pike anyway, just because.
Yeah, I think this
why
is
not?
promoting it to be a more standalone item instead of
Why
like,
not get mobility? Like, why would you not want the extra mobility from having the Force Staff? Like, it's just so useful.
Fair. Okay, so that's a good item. Drums of Endurance now requires Bracer, Ring of Regeneration, Windlace, and 700 recipe. So it's changed the cost. It's actually made it cheaper by 75 gold.
It gives you less though.
Yeah, so before it gives you 9 to all stats plus 3 damage. Now it gives you 9 only to intelligence, 6 to strength, 3 to agility. So you get 6. No, you get 9 stats less, 9 stat points less.
Right. So
than
you get a
before.
little less HP, you get less attack speed, you get less armor, and if you're an Agi hero, you get less damage. So it was a nerf. A lot of teams were buying like multiple sets of drums because the on use is so strong. Also, because the way the comeback mechanics in this game work, the more gold like you have on you, the more unspent gold you have on you, the more the enemy team gets for killing you. So like people were buying instead of
Emergency
trying,
drums.
instead of like having like 2k gold on you, you buy a set of drums because it gives you so much for pretty cheap.
I see.
And now it's just a little bit worse. Obviously the build-up's a little different. You get the Windlace now, which is kind of nice.
Because so you can get that move speed up sooner too if you're
Right.
trying to get up to it. Okay.
But it's also definitely less HP, less effective HP because of the armor loss, less attack speed. So it's a little worse in terms of.
But you have HP regeneration now too. I mean, was this?
Yeah, which is.
It's not that big of a deal. Like in the early game, it might be, but I mean, late game Ring of Regen, like you don't care. Nobody cares. It's just like whatever.
So
3 HP.
Yule Scepter now requires Windlace instead of Sage's Mask. So this overall makes is the mana regen still the same for Yule Scepter then?
I don't think so. I think it's slightly less, but even still, it's still a decent
Okay.
item to pick
And
Because
up.
the Windlace pickup early can be really useful, for running people down.
And I always liked the Yule Scepter because I feel like it was a really great quasi sheepstick, but cheaper. If you could farm up for a sheepstick, if you're a support, if you
For a
needed
while
to,
there, it was like literally the best support item in the game, right? Like it's like a pseudo stun or like a
And
like
you can
save
purge.
yourself with it. Yeah, you can purge.
It wasn't just a support item; it was one of the best items.
items,
period in the
yeah.
game. Yeah.
Like cost efficiency, because like the mana regen as well, like was absurd. I think that's why they did that change slightly, and then just the Windlace item itself is dope.
Because it already provided the run speed anyway, and now they're saying, okay, well now the run speed that it provides is because of this item.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Now
good.
it's like
makes
dope.
sense.
That makes sense.
So Flying Courier cost reduced from 200 gold to 150 gold. So this is more of like quality of life improvement for supports.
Yeah,
Supports,
every patch seems to be like giving some love to the supports because support players tend to not like to play support really because you just feel like you're the one like doing all the work in the beginning, buying
Yeah.
everything, and nobody says thank you, none of that.
Right.
So now it's a little easier.
2 tangles, please.
Exactly. Like,
You're trying to scrape, together some gold for some
50
items.
gold matters in the early game for supports.
It
Like,
certainly does. It's a
That's good.
TP scroll now.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Straight up a TP scroll
insane.
now.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. We have to talk about the TP scroll here because I saw some funny comments in the Reddit post. But let's see, Geometrucite radius reduced from 1100 to 900. That's obviously a nerf to it, but I mean this is
all auras are like 900, I believe, and so I think they're trying to bring all the auras to be the same.
But this was like Gem was super annoying before for like
Yeah,
heroes
for,
who had
for
like
Invis heroes, for
Kato.
dewarding. So now it's a little on a hero, especially on a hero like Night,
Night Stalker.
like Ag's Night Stalker, or like the Bat
That was nice.
Rider. It's a little harder for them to deward and to catch somebody out who's Invis. So that's a buff to Invis heroes for sure.
Yeah,
Buff to Shadow Blade.
but you're still gonna want to get it if you have an invisible hero.
Oh,
on
of
board,
course,
I'm
of
sure.
course. It's
just,
still totally worth getting.
It's kind of it makes roaming by yourself a little bit scarier though, because you can't see the invis hero.
You can't
from
see
as
the
far away.
Invis hero, and that's the problem. Is right now I think that like especially like 5-man. If you're 5-manning, the gem just makes it impossible for Invis heroes to like get anything done. And so
That's
now
fair.
maybe they can get a little bit more done.
Yeah, this is gonna make the Mirana ganks a little bit scarier too.
Yeah, you won't see them coming quite as quickly,
Okay.
which is a big deal.
Ghost Scepter, Ghost Form cooldown reduced from 30 to 25. Again, I think this is more love to supports. I mean, you're
Yeah,
able
just
to,
buffs. Just
Just so they don't get mauled by right clicker carries by
Yeah.
Sven every time he wants to blink on them.
if Ghost Scepter is such a great item for supports, I feel like a lot more supports should pick it up. I mean, it gives great stats, makes it so that you're immune to throw off at least a couple more spells before you die. So I think that's there. Glimmer Cape, mana cost reduced from 110 to 90. Another buff for supports. What do you guys think about Glimmer Cape overall? I mean, that's a new item.
it's a great item. It like was way OP in the beginning. It was the best item in the game for a while when it was first reduced, or shown rather, revealed, and so it's been nerfed and nerfed. But then now it's kind of in a good spot. But then not as many people are buying it, so they're like, okay, like
Small
just hard to use it.
small buff.
I feel like the best heroes to pick this are like Witch Doctor, Crystal Maiden.
yeah, for the like
Easily,
be able
I feel
to
like.
channel their stuff.
Really,
keep
it's-
it on
it's-
yourself, but
It's good against like a. I mean, it's good if you don't have any invis on your team. It's good because it can force either team to buy detection. If they have magic nuke, it's now just slightly better overall.
It also
There's
makes
so many good
saving
support
saving
items,
teammates a lot better too,
Yeah.
right? Because a
Yeah.
lot of people don't realize that you should use Glimmer Cape if your teammates trying to run away.
yeah, it just
Yeah.
makes it so you have more mana to use, like using 110 just to save somebody for like 3 seconds or whatever. Like, didn't always feel like
And now
doesn't feel good for you as a support, but now it's a little less, so it's a little nicer.
Yeah, and over like multiple casts, the savings will add up, and so it's-
Guardian Greaves recipe increased from 1650 to 1700. I think this is kind of that thing you guys are talking about, where it kind of slows down the snowballing effect.
right it
Because
slows
you'd
down
see
the
it really
snowball.
early. Guardian Greaves.
It makes it just a little bit longer till the people get their Greaves up, and
It's
maybe
one more
maybe,
last hit, so
Yeah.
it's just like
maybe you kill them in that time and they don't get it as quick. I don't know. It's not a big nerf either way.
the babiest of nerfs.
Yes.
Whatever.
It's fair. Hard Tarask, strength increased from 40 to 45. Health bonus reduced from 300 to 250. So that kind of balances each other self out,
You
right?
actually get
really?
50 more HP from that.
You get more. You get 100 HP from the extra
From
5
the extra
strength.
Yeah. So
But and you also get damage if you're a strength hero, so it's a buff,
it's a
small buff.
overall.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. This Heaven's Halberd, disarm illusion on range targets increased from 4.5 to 5.5. I like this a lot, especially for like range carries like Sniper and Drug. It allows you to close the distance a little bit faster.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like this item a lot, and I'm glad that this is happening.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be picked up more.
Now, the range on it though, does it out? Oh, I guess it doesn't really outrange like too much, right? Is it cast range on like 900?
It's
I don't know.
I don't know the exact numbers on it,
But I guess the point of it is that it does allow you to close the gap a little bit faster with range carries. I think, right?
So it just gives you an extra second of them not mauling your.
yeah,
thing
exactly.
off.
Like when there's like a farm drow or sniper, and like you just can't deal with them before you even like can get to them. Like this is good for hopping on them, saying stop hitting me, and then just murdering them or killing everybody else and then them.
Yeah, the
I
cast
think this will be
range-
good against like the freaking Enchantress. I hate
Oh, yeah.
Enchantress.
Very good against Enchantress. I mean, and the cast range is only 600, but if if you're a hero that gets this, you blink in, you disarm them, and then even if you get 4 staffed away or whatever, they're disarmed for an extra second, and they hopefully gives you time to remove their teammates or whatever.
Hooded Defiance, remove 1 ring of regen from Hooded Defiance. So the Hooded Defiance is a little bit easier to build,
Yeah, just a
obviously.
little bit cheaper.
but it's going to reduce obviously the plus 3 HP generation
Regen,
there.
but it's just again,
It's more
just-
about the magic, like bubbles
Resistance.
that it gives. So
yeah.
This might be, it's a little bit easier for Punch to pick up if he needs to. Or a Centaur.
Or whoever is picking it up for their pipe or whatever, it just makes it a little bit quicker to pick it up and get it completed and get that benefit,
So Lincoln Sphere got cheaper as well. Reduced from 1325 to 1,000. I don't know how I feel about this because it's it's always a nightmare when you end up dealing with a Medusa Weaver with an early game Lincoln Sphere.
I think that it's a good change because I think that there's so many ultra strong super target spells in this game. I think that Lincoln's honestly could probably be picked up more, and same with the next item, Lotus Orb. And so I like this change a lot. I think that, and there are plenty of single target spells too for you to pop a Lincoln, so it just adds a little more skill element to the game, and can keep you alive from those really horrible one shot or like really annoying like stun mechanics like the Beastmaster stun, like the Doom.
It's fair.
I think the change is good. I like Lincoln Sphere a lot.
Yeah, it just promotes it getting picked up more. So
you mentioned that the Lotus Orb doesn't get picked up often enough. I actually have not seen a Lotus Orb in any of my games ever since it's been introduced. But then again, I'm a whole different skill level different from you guys. But it changed here. Energy boosters have a 900 gold recipe. I like that. This is a buff.
This is just buffs for it. It's honestly a really good item. A lot of people think that, like, okay, they're only using it because they want to reflect stuff, but it's actually like a Baden shield, right? Like, it's going to like purge who you're trying to save. Like, say somebody gets Beastmaster Roared, you pop this on them, and it saves them from that, and then it makes it so people don't want to hit them with their spells like, Venge throwing out her stun or Sven or whatever. And so this now also, gives a little more mana or whatever.
But they still take the damage from the hits, though, don't they?
Yeah, and that's why people don't want to get it. It's like, oh, I'm still getting hit, so what's the point? But it's really about just like being like an Abaddon shield for any hero.
Yeah, it's a dispel on use, so it's not necessarily to reflect spells. It removes spells. So like, yeah, say you get Vengeful Stunned or Beastmaster Roared or what have you. If you cast Lotus Orb on that person, it removes the stun. If they get Batrider ulted and you Lotus Orb fast enough, it removes the Batrider ult.
And what about Venomancer ult? Venomancer ult, does that dispel that too?
I don't think it dispels that.
Okay.
But the reason why the bubble thing is there that reflects is to make it so that the enemy doesn't want to hit them. They still might, but then it's at the cost of them getting stunned back. And so they have to make that choice after.
Okay.
So it's just to kind of say, don't do it unless you want to pay the price.
So Mask of Magnus, active damage amplification reduced from 30 to 25%. This is buff?
This is a buff.
Yeah, because I feel like it hasn't been picked up. It hasn't been picked up in a long time. From what I've seen
it was so powerful for so long last year. On heroes like Jug, like the Sniper, heroes like the Void, just because it gave so much attack speed, so much movement speed, and it did get steadily. It got nerfed pretty hard after that, and now this is just another they don't want to buff it too much because it was so strong so recently, but they want to give it a little bit of juice to help it come back.
Okay. Medallion of Courage replaced the recipe with Bloodstone. We all expected that, and it makes a lot of sense. Actually makes it easier to build up, if anything else, because Bloodstone's such a good early game item with the reduced armor for heroes that normally pick it, like I said, Vengeful Spirit, right? Observer Ward, so gold experience rescaled from 50 to 100 to 125. So you get less experience, but you get more gold.
So it makes you want to deward more because you're actually going to be able to pay off what you you're going to buy these sentry wards, right? It's 200. So say you get the reward, like that one sentry ward is worth 100 gold. So you're getting what you bought, but then you're also
taking away their vision.
Exactly. So it's worth it in the end for your team.
Okay, but then it got slightly nerfed. Duration reduced from 7 to 6 minutes.
Well, not necessarily. It's the duration got.
There's a meshing sentry now.
You can actually buy them now. Like the restock value got in. Like there's more rewards coming faster, and it also costs a little less.
Okay.
So
65 gold, and then the restock is every 150 seconds, so every 2.5 minutes instead of every 3 minutes.
This means that there has to be more warding happening.
It feels like they're just begging people to buy wards more often.
Right, they're begging people to actually use these amazing items. Go figure, right? And that's one of the biggest things is that vision is game winning, and they want to encourage people to do it and go out there and use these awesome tools that make the game better. The more you can see, the more the more fun you're probably going to have.
But this is another nice quality of life improvement for supports. I mean, in a decent 42-minute game, 50-minute game, I easily buy 12 just observer wards. I can buy 12 observer wards easily.
Yeah,
and that's 120 gold. I mean, it's wow, that makes it seem like nothing. But really, it's an improvement, guys.
It is an improvement. It lets you pick up, wards a little quicker. Like, if you're, sitting back at the base, and you have 60, You know, you can buy gold, you know, the wards 10 seconds earlier before you have to leave the base to TP out, you know. So maybe if you TP to a fight, you have a ward on you instead of not having one.
That's true.
You know, it could just be one of something like that.
So Octr Ink core, this got nerfed.
Nerfed, yeah. It was just so good for what it does.
No more HP generation, and mana generation reduced from 100 to 50%. So you don't get as much mana regeneration on it, you don't get HP regeneration. But it's still going to be...
The purpose
I
of
think
it is
it
supposed
kind
to
of
be
makes up for it,
cooldown.
right?
It's just supposed to be about the cooldown reduction. Like,
Yeah.
That was like the main purpose of it. And so you're also going to get all the stats, all the mana, all the health from it. But I think they were just thinking this one item, even though it's kind of expensive, it just did too much. And the cooldown reduction is already like OP in its own sense. So.
It's so good on carries, people like Bristleback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just any hero that picks this up, like, I think they're getting a little more than they should. And so I think this is a warranted nerf, but it's not like I don't think it's enough to kill the item.
Yeah, it's not a huge nerf. It's just to kind of tone it down a little and make it slightly less good.
Right. Perseverance, HP generation increased from 5 to 6. This is just to reflect a Ring of Health change. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
just because
Okay.
they buffed Ring of Health to 6 HP regen. And
Pipe of Insight. Remove Pipe of Insight stack limit duration. So it's updated to match Ring of Health and Hood changes. So what does that mean by stack limit duration?
I mean, if you have multiple pipes of insight, you can use multiple pipes of insight.
Yeah, just one after the other, I think.
One after the other.
Okay.
That's really strong. It means that, you know, maybe to prevent some of that magic damage, that late game magic damage, you might see a couple of pipes picked up on teams now. Who knows?
Oh, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
instead of like multiple drums, you'll see multiple pipes. So
Okay.
maybe that's a thing.
Point booster, health reduced from 200 to 175. Mana bonus increased from 150 to 175. So they just more or less seems like it balanced it out.
Yeah, just
Okay.
gave it the same health and mana, I guess, for...
Refresher, that just changed because of the Ring of Health update.
Yeah.
Ring of Aquila, armor reduced from 3 to 2.
It just
Only-
gave so much for what it did.
Yeah, it was a really stat-efficient item, and now 1 armor is clearly better than 1 damage, so it's a little bit of a nerf.
Okay.
You know.
It is a really good item for early game. Ring of Basileus, I think
Same
it's just
thing.
to match the same thing. Yeah. Same with the damage. Okay. Ring of Health, we already talked about that. Ring of Regen, cost of that is reduced.
By
So that
25.
actually
Just a nice small little buff to people who
pick
buy
up
it for their
Triangle
item.
Boots, Force
Yeah.
Staff.
Yep.
So Rod of Atos, this is one thing I want to talk about. It says remove chance to true strike on a target. So the previous Rod of Atos, it was only in 6.86, where if you cast it on a target, not only does it slow them, it gives you a 40% chance of
Chance to true strike, yeah.
to hit them. So by removing that, this is a nerf to Rod of Atos.
Yeah, but it's also like the only hero that really benefited from this item in every way was OD when he picked it up, because he got, you know, like the int, and then he got the true strike so he could hit. But most heroes that want to pick this up are actually like casters like Skywrath. Like their damage doesn't come from like the right click, so it was almost like a pointless sort of addition to this item for the types of heroes that you want to get this, right?
That's
So,
fair.
and then plus you have the new item that kind of does that now. That gives the true strike, the whatever the first thing. I forget what it's
The
called.
Bloodthorn.
Yeah, the Bloodthorn. The Bloodthorn has that now, and so that's
Okay.
that item's purpose now, and so they just took it off of this.
Okay. Sanj, MAME chance increased from 15 to 25 to 20%. MAME reduced from 20% to 20 and 10% for melee range wielders. So this is a nerf to the item for range wielders. Still stays exactly the same for melee heroes.
Yeah, a little bit
Well,
buff for
it's a little
melee.
better for them,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah,
So the MAME slow, is it more to keep range heroes from kiting people?
The Sanj, specifically the S and Y, the Sanj and Yasha, is such a efficient item to buy because it's just heavy stat item. You know, it gives a lot of move speed, a lot of attack speed, a lot of HP, and then it gives a decent slow. And for a lot of ranged heroes, we're picking it up, you know, and using it, and it just seemed very strong for ranged users, you know, for what it does.
Fair. So Sanj and Yasha obviously got updated because of Sanj, but the MAME chance actually almost doubled, went from 16 to 30%. That's a huge buff. The MAME slow reduced from 32% to 26 and 13%, so it kind of balances out. I mean, it increases your chance to slow more often, right?
Yeah, but for the melee heroes, it's a buff again because they've doubled their almost doubled their chance to slow, and their slow didn't get reduced as much. But again, for ranged heroes, it's a little bit of a nerf because the item was almost too good still. You know, it gets picked up on so many carry heroes, and will still get picked up on so many carry heroes just because of how incredibly efficient it is.
Right. So let's do this. Shadow Amulet and Silver Edge. We can talk about these two. Silver Edge is obviously going to cost 100 gold less because of the change in Shadow Amulet. But now Silver Edge, instead of requiring Sange, it requires an Ultimate Orb, and it can be disassembled. So that's interesting. Because before you couldn't disassemble it because of the recipe, but now you can disassemble it from the Ultimate Orb and Shadow Blade. What do you guys think about this?
I think it's kind of nice. Like, it actually, the Ultimate Orb you buy gives you $10 stats. When you actually buy this item, it gives you an additional 5 on top of the 10 that you get from that item. And so I think this is sort of a buff.
It makes it cheaper by a lot.
Yeah, it's cheaper, it gives more stats, and then now the fact that it's disassemblable, like, you can do what you need to do with this item until you're going to build into other bigger things using the Sange. And then Shadow Blade, sometimes people just straight up, like, sell it off in the late game.
I think this is a buff for a lot of heroes that would think about buying Silver Edge but weren't, maybe, like Slark. Now Slark didn't really care about the strength from the Sange. Now he just gets stats, which is better for him. You know, Agi.
Yeah, he wants all the stats.
Yeah, he wants all the stats. So
It makes Silver Edge easier, more accessible, right? Because Silver Edge is actually a really good item. It's just, in a way, it's kind of expensive to build up.
And now it's a little cheaper, and now it's a little bit better overall in terms of the stats it provides. Instead of just the 16 strength, now it's 15 all stats again. So now it provides some int and some agi. So I think it's a buff. Cool. It's a good item.
So we got Smoke of Deceit here. Stock replenish time reduced from 12 to 11 minutes, so it's a buff. No longer has a cooldown attached to your hero. Now this is awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome because
you can just have all the smokes on one hero, and you can pop it and not have to wait like another 70 to 90 seconds, whatever it is, to wait to use it again. So you can just do like smokes in quick succession. If you goof one up and figure out they're across the map, just pop another.
Yeah, or if you just want to smoke twice in a row for shits and giggles, you know. No, but I think the stock replenish time is a big deal, though. It means we'll see, during a longer game, we'll see some more smoke movements on the map. By the way, if you didn't know this, it's really good to buy smokes early in game to start the timer ticking as fast as possible.
Yeah, just buy them up, even if you just put them in your stash.
I went right away almost. Use it to do something early, I don't know.
Okay, smokes are just so good. A lot of people don't realize just how good. It's almost a free kill in lower MMR games. Like, they just don't see you coming, and then you just hop onto them with like 2 heroes, and they're like, okay, I'm dead now.
It's almost a free kill in a lot of pro games.
Yeah, in every game, right? Yeah. But like, a lot of people in the lower, like, they're like, nah, it's whatever. They don't even think about the item. They don't know it exists, and it's like, just buy it. It's like 50 gold.
No, they don't use words anyway, so...
Exactly. It's just, okay, I'm imploring everyone, if you're watching this right now, just buy smokes. Just buy smokes. It's such a good item. It's so good.
Use a smoke, kill somebody.
So Soul Booster reflects the changes into Octr Ink core. No HP generation, so I think it's just like you said. It's just
this item was really cost efficient too. Provided a lot for what it cost, and the HP regeneration, it literally just magically appeared on there because none of the items it's made out of
has it.
HP regeneration.
Right.
So
I was trying to reflect like what the items do that build into it, really.
So that's good. Talisman of Evasion got 100 gold cheaper. I think it's really just to prevent the snowball effect. Again, I mean, it's negligible, right?
Maybe
it just makes Butterfly a little bit more accessible.
You don't want to like pick this up until like you're building what it's building into, right? And so this is kind of like saying, buy me a little earlier, but I don't think it still is warranted. Like,
maybe it's like maybe you pick that up as the value evasion, mid game against like an Ursa or a Sven or something, and it just lets you pick it up a little earlier. Who knows? Yeah, it's not a big deal though. It's just a small buff to
baby buff.
The one I really like here, Town Portal Scroll, 75 to 50, and with the discount to the wards too, it makes you have an extra 50 gold. Extra 50 gold. Extra 35 gold.
Valve is doing right here is saying buy Town Portal Scrolls, buy them early, buy them often, use them a lot. Teleport to fights, teleport to help your teammates out. Don't just sit in your lane. Don't be static. Don't.
Yeah, and I think this is good too. I think a lot of people don't realize that they always in lower games. A lot of people are expecting the mid to always go through and gank the other lanes, but really it's the other way around.
It's literally
the TPing to help your mid out because he's gonna get ganked.
Right. So this is great. This is a great quality improvement for supports.
Just saying, play Dota. Move around the map, do stuff. Don't just stand there. Like if you're not doing anything in a lane, TP to another lane and make something happen. It's only 50 gold. Get over it. It's like just do it.
So
Yeah,
let's
just
see.
play the game.
Vanguard, we talked about. HP generation increased it. Veil of Discord now requires Helm of Iron Will, 2 no talismans, and 400 recipe. So it's actually 30 gold cheaper. But the difference here is that you actually get less intelligence.
Right.
That's it. You get
This is
6
a
intelligence
nerf.
less.
It was too efficient for what it did,
Yeah.
and now it's just a little bit worse.
It was such a
Now
good
you
item
can
on
dispel
Zeus.
the debuff as well, because like you couldn't before. You just always were taking extra magic damage, but now like all other things that are debuffs, you should be able to dispel it, and so now you can.
Okay, so it's a nerfed item, but if anything else, it kind of makes it a little bit more, I would say, balanced.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
provides
it's a
so much-
balanced item. It's still good. It still does what it has to do. It's just not, like once you pick it up, it's just really damn good for you all the time. It's just like, yes, just
So-
a little less good.
Vlad, armor aura reduced from 5 to 4, so that's negligible. What armor?
Yeah, just the Basileus change is all.
I think it's more, it's more along the lines of like nerfing heroes who have a lot of creeps on them. I mean, this patch is hurting heroes, just like guys like Chen and Enchantress.
It's just like the early the old meta before this patch was like, you're gonna try to win your lanes, and then you're just gonna group up as 5 and take a tower, and then kind of farm a little bit, and then go group as 5 again and do a thing. And so this is kind of saying, you don't have to group up as 5 as much. Like just gank up, and like people would just buy drums, they buy Vlads, they push towers, and then get that early advantage.
Yeah,
and
no,
so
it's
all
making
these
that.
tower buffs and all this shit is just like saying, stop, just calm down.
You don't have to 5-man all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay,
Stop buying these 5-man items.
And here
So-
we are.
we're at the heroes now. This is a long list, so I'm thinking like we go through the heroes quickly. I mean, I think we should stop at the heroes that have significant changes to them, because everything else, fairly standardized. It's just scaling, right? Would you
Yeah,
guys say
so
that?
there's just some number tweaks here and there. There's some like Arc Warden who've been fucked and changed in big ways, but for the most part,
Yeah. Abaddon, Curse of Avernus, right? He just a slight buff because nobody
Right.
plays him.
I love that hero, and so I love that he's buffed. But like, it's barely like a 3% change in the early game. Otherwise,
Just a
not
tiny,
big.
tiny buff.
It's the same thing with Ancient Apparition. Ancient Apparition looks like